I'll give you a quick basic here. Okay, idea here is we're looking for something that's going to look like this when we get done. Okay, it's going to heal itself and look like this. It doesn't start out like that. Okay, it's going to start out more like a wedge like this and a cut like that. Okay, so our piece of cyanwood, which I have in my mouth, is going to be shaped like this, and this piece of wood, this tree here in this pot, is going to be cut to look like that. We're simply going to jam it in there, and then when it grows, it will grow and connect like that. This is either successful or not successful only when the Cambrian is touching. Now the Cambrian layer, you guys remember biology, that word, Cambrian? I couldn't really see it because I can't hand you a piece of Cambrian, but it's below the bark. In between the core wood there and the bark, there's this little layer that's just called the Cambrian. Those have to match. If this was like this, this would die in 2 weeks. It'd be black. Okay? If this was smaller and it was centered in the middle, it would be dead in 2 weeks. If this was smaller and I matched one side, I have chances of success. Okay, this is our cyan wood. And it's the variety, it's going to be jujube. This is Lee variety, L-I. That's important because I'm going to label my container. I ain't going to know if this takes for 6 months. So I'm going to forget what it was. Okay, so I'm only going to use one bud. So you guys see how that is flowering out at the end? If I was to use that, it'd be a waste of time. It's already pushed. It isn't going to be any good. It'll dry out. This is growing off the energy of this, but there'll be no connection. I need that connection. I need the best grafting success is going to happen when the juices from this are running into this piece. Remember, they're separate. I'm trying to make them into one. So in this case, I'm going to use that. I'll go with 2 buds because I think I can match up fine. Okay, so now I take wax. Remember in the old days, the old guys with gray hair and you wanted to learn about grafting, they told you melt some wax, take a brush, and cover it up. Now in the medical industry they have this stuff called parafilm, which is a waxy tape. And we put this on, and the whole purpose, what we're trying to achieve here is a connection before this dries out. Drying out is our enemy. Okay, so that's our piece of cyan. Has a parafilm on it. It's ready to go. You guys want to pass that along? You see what that stuff is? We take our piece of wood. You can pass that along. Get the feel of what's going on there. Okay. Now we look at this and we say, well, I could put probably easily 2 different varieties on this if I wanted to, if I had to. I only have this one Lee. I should have been picking this much earlier than today because the fact that it was leafing out. So what we'll do is we're going to work with this guy here. Now I hope I didn't do that in haste because I want some kind of a match. And I was a little hasty, I see. But it will work with it. Okay, this guy, he's going to, because I'm going to put this guy on, and he's going to compete with these guys who are already established. I'd be the wisest guy in the world to cut him off too. I had good insurance that he would take that. And when you guys are gone, maybe I'll do that. All right, so now we take our knife. You're going to have your sharpener with you, and you're just going to, this is a diamond sharpener, you're just going to make sure it stays sharp, because everybody who grafts cuts themselves. Easier to cut yourself on a dull knife. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to take a look on the end here. Usually pieces of sign wood are wider in one direction than the other. I like to carve this shape that we're going to look for on the narrow side, because it gives me a little more flexibility if I mismanage here. I can go down and cut this down and match up a little better. So I'm going to work the narrow side. Okay. If my piece of cyan wood is curved, I'm going to now work it so that the curve is, I'm looking straight down on it and you don't see a curve. If you go to the side and you try to do that, now it's miserable. What we're going to do is take our knife. We're going to cut something like this to start with. I want to be a little more. You can see the wood is starting to change my color here. You can see we're getting down in there, and I can see now where I'm trying to be. There's our Cambrian layer is right there. It's easier to see it in green here. Okay, go over to the other side. When you're using your knife, best to do this in as least amount of strokes as I'm doing right now, and this seems to be a little too many. And you want these kind of straight. You can see we're starting to make a kind of a wedge shape. We want the length of the wedge from here to here to be probably in the 1 inch area. The longer this is, the more contact we have, cambrium to cambrium. Now if this was smaller than my stock I was putting it on, I probably want to have this even a little longer, because I'm limiting by only matching up on one side the amount of cambrium. Okay, so that's really not quite all the way there. Carefully narrow it down there a little bit more. And I'm going to work with that. You guys see?